Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there finally getting into the tournament stream. There is a 3v3 tournament going on called the Trident of Power. Morax has put it on. There's going to be at least 4 sets of games, and I'm going to try to cast one from each series and then the final. This game, we're looking at Farm's team versus Zlo, and we'll break down the teams here in just a second. I'm going to back off the sim speed for just a moment while we look at the map here, and this is going to let them get ahead a little bit just so we don't encounter any problems with the live replay. The map is Burial Mounds, which is one that I have not played on in ages, and I have not actually seen played on probably in a year. So kudos for bringing out the old maps, getting something we don't see every single day. Let's break down the teams here. We have got on the north side, we've got Zlo, we've got Gibberish. What on earth? Jarek Boygengala? We're gonna call him Jerry. That is Jerry, and we've got Enola Gay. On the south side, we have got Farms. We've got Eco Noob, and last but certainly not least, Blast Chilled. So, pick your teams. I'm not going to go for anybody in particular here. A lot of these are familiar names. I'm going to bump the speed back up, and we will dive right into the game. Civs have arty, but no power with which to launch the artillery. That is an interesting problem to have. Let me see. They do have one shot loaded though, so if anybody gets close to that, they will get a clink hammer to the face. Burial Mounds, obviously you're going to have a little bit of an advantage if you got hover units on your roster. You will need Navy at some point, but it is possible to play the map without Navy due to the fact that there's just these little narrow passes here where you can stream units across or just go across the water. Like I said, if you got hover or drops, there's a few different ways to attack this thing. Blast Chilled, first land, second air, spreading out to grab his mass extractors. Got a load of manual reclaim up for Eco Noob, showing off his inner Eco Whore, and it looks like he is queuing up for a second air factory as well. Farms got the second air factory down, has an equally impressive, actually much more impressive amount of manual reclaim going on down here, sucking up everything he possibly can to maximize his economy. And then he is also going to snag this in the north side. He's going to get 4 extra mass extractors on top of what his teammates have. So that's going to make life a little interesting indeed. And Enola Gay, second air as well, spreading out with the engineers, not nearly as efficient with the manual reclaim as some of these other guys are being. Jerry, second air as well. I am sensing a pattern. Do not forget, on this map, there are civilian structures here that you can reclaim. Some of them appear to be on fire, but I suppose that is because those are refineries and they are spewing pollution into the atmosphere. Not very often that you see something like that. I guess they don't have the tech that the commanders have, where they can basically just recycle trees straight into mass and then into units without having to put smoke out everywhere. Unless, of course, you're a monkey lord. Stuff spreading out in the back, and then Air Factory online for Zlo, who is powering through a first interceptor. I'm assuming he is a little bit worried about any kind of bomber or something that might be coming through to snipe off his expansioneers. Of course, anytime you have a map where you've got to get a little spread out, get out there and get your mass extractors, that early bomber can be critical if it can knock out a couple of engineers and keep those mass extractors away from your opponent just for a little bit. This is a cheeky little move here. This transport is going to try to drop some engineers on the opposing Formex expansion. Interceptor is going to come in and bypass the transport. Apparently, I think he flew the scout over here and he saw the transport but was not able to actually target it, and then that interceptor failed to come in. That engineer is going to grab these rocks, worth 300 apiece it appears, and then we've got a 3 engineer drop on the cliff. But Zlo is being proactive. Instead of walking his engineers over here, he actually built a transport just to drop Engies, and that is going to let him throw down a land factory post-haste. And since he has 6 engineers building instead of the 3 that Blast Chilled has dropped, I think that is going to be an advantage to Blast Chilled. However, look at this, we've got a bomber coming in from Eco Noob that is going to, nope, the engineers scatter. Some of them will get away, 2 down, many more to go. But that bomber is going to at least slow down what is going on Zlo's side of the plateau. Here comes the return bomber, though. It is going to lay in a hit on the factory. You may be wondering why you would target something so high health as a factory. Well, that would be because it kills the unit that's building inside the factory. It does do some good. A couple engineers going to die to that, but the factory is online. We've got 2 factories versus 2 factories, but we still do have more build power on this side and a head start on units. So I think Zlo is going to be able to mop this up rather easily. Unless his point event comes online, of course, in which case it will buy a small amount of extra time, at least until the Medusas come online. But I think that is going to be all she wrote for this expansion. Flows in, kill the Engie, no point defense for you, and that is the end of that. Zlo sending mass to Enola Gay. What are you doing over here? Looks like an Engie drop. There is an artillery on this side, though, so any attempt will be doomed to failure as far as claiming that plateau goes. And Enola Gay appears to be using that mass to get a T2 air factory. I sense shenanigans. Anytime there is a T2 air factory pre-6 minutes, something weird is going down. And it should be fun to watch. Another transport coming out for Zlo. Actually, that is the same transport. Dropping off engineers on these mass extractors that he has not got claimed. Maybe we'll see those head off to the south somewhere as well. There is a land factory coming online, but I don't think that is going to be enough. There is already artillery down here that is going to be able to kill any units loading on the platform. Basically factory locking that son of a gun, and now we've got a second artillery moving in. We do have Navy. Enola Gay is going for some frigates, and rightfully so. He's already got Zui's attempting to cross the water. On the south side, we have got a pair of naval factories. Looks like a sonar and then an anti-air turret going down, and those frigates will be able to help with some passage denial, let's label it. Cybern frigates do have halfway decent anti-air, not anywhere near as good as they used to have, seeing as they did get a pretty significant nerf a couple of patches back, but they still do provide a little bit of anti-air that can be useful for denying interceptors, just kind of keeping your airspace protected. And then, of course, they will be able to deny any hover units or things that are coming across the channel. Speaking of hover units, it would appear that Jerry is also building a lot of T1 hover artillery, and shenanigans have ensued. Here comes a Mantis drop at a minimum that is going to kill the radar. Probably get a couple of these mass extractors that were planned to go T2 on short notice. EcoNoob living up to his name at the moment. He has got 49 mass income, which is the highest in this entire game. Might get knocked down a peg, though, if those Mantis are able to get a couple of mass extractors. There's our shenanigans we were looking for. A T2 gunship pushed across the channel. Looks like we've got... that is Jerry with interceptors on this side trying to cover for those gunships as they raid. He was not able to save the first, but there are 2 more inbound and more building out of the factory. The north side has got a much stronger air presence, and that is going to end up screwing over the south side if they do not do something about that very quickly. And you can see here, Farms is getting more air factories down, he's getting more P-gens down, and he will start producing more air because they have got to clinch that area of the battle. This looks like a T2 factory building T2 engineers leading into a T2 power generator. So probably some increased air production down there. EcoNoob might be going for a T3 air push relatively early, just kind of basing an assumption off of looking at a little bit of this build, but I don't know. Some of these higher ranked players, they don't do things that make sense to the lower ranked peeps. One of the reasons you need to watch this kind of thing. Another artillery drop, not a comm drop, from Farms. He is going to take out one T2 mass extractor, and he might just make the other. There's a gunship coming in here to harass. You need to reclaim. Are you seriously going to let one measly T1 tank take out that mass extractor? Why, yes, indeed you are. Oh, that hurts. 2 T2 mass extractors down over there. Kind of an unusual thing to see, seeing as he had all of this air presence, and he had the gunships to help him. But, you know, crap happens. T2 gunships still on the raid. Knocked out a couple more mass extractors. I'd love to see those things move over to some more important things, but I suppose the closer you get to the main base, the more likely it is that you'll use your gunships to stationary anti-air emplacements, so raiding the mass extractors around the outside edge is probably the best thing to do with those. So many NGs spreading out to do all of this reclaim. There are some rocks hidden in the trees, but it is mostly trees on the backside of this map. We've got some T1 bombers over here cleaning up a couple of units that did get dropped earlier, and now there is another drop headed in from Zlo, just trying to keep Mantis moving across the channel just to be a pain in the buttocks. Gunship taking a little bit of damage flying over those frigates. Frigates are now going to be able to hold down this shoreline. We've got 5 so far out for Blast Shield. If those move up, they will be able to kill off this factory, prevent the building of the frigates. The bad thing about this is it's going to put him within overcharge range of Jerry's commander if he chooses to go up. Yeah, T2 point defense is not a good thing to go up against with an unupgraded commander and a handful of T1 artillery. Not sure what you were planning there, bro. Frigates moving in. They are going to kill off the build power first. Excellent thing to focus fire. There's our Mantis drop. They'll be able to take out that T1 mechs, no problemo. And now Farms has got himself a little bit of a problem because the T2 gunships have arrived at his doorstep. They are well guarded by air. I'm sorry, that is the south side's air. He is being well guarded by air. Those gunships are not going to survive long. It is funny, Jerry keeps getting his air out of place. I'm not sure what he's doing here. He seems to have a lot of interceptors, but they're always just a little too far away from where they are supposed to be. The good thing is, though, with fewer interceptors and the gunships to tank the damage from the enemy interceptors, you will be able to win air control very, very easily. There are, though, some T1 anti-air moving in to try and deal with these gunship incursions, and we do have air moving up from Blast Shield now that we'll be able to deal with all of this unsightly mess that is happening on the north side. So it looks like Enola is going to bring his frigates down. We have a torpedo bomber from Zlo that's going to try to damage some of these frigates before they can take all of this offline completely. There is a frigate out. That is going to help as well. We now have 4 versus 4 plus the Tort Bomber. So that is odds in favor of the north side on that Navy. And that will leave 2 people building Navy for the north side plus hover arty spam. Whereas on the south side we only have 1 person building Navy and then a smaller amount of hover arty. The T2 gunships are getting brave down here, trying to go after the power. Tactical missile defense going down. I am curious. Let's select one of these guys that has a T2 engineer. That would be Farms. We're going to grab one of these and see what the range is. He's building TMD, and I don't know why. Because the TMLs cannot even reach his base from the island. They would have to build it on the landmass. This is a deceptively large map. So I think this is kind of a waste, but I suppose should a cruiser show up on the scene, it might be kind of useful. Maybe. Maybe it's just preventative measures. Who really knows? Got a drop coming in. It looks like this is going to slip right through Zlo's air screen. Yes! Drop the Mantis. Transport immediately dies, but it is a worthy sacrifice, and then the 100 crash damage is immediately going to take out half the health on half the Mantis. That's not exactly what you want to have happening there. Not a good thing. The increased air production from the south side is helping. We've now got about the same amount of interceptors, it looks like, north and south. Maybe a few more, actually. And I was right. Not Blast Shield. Eco Noob. I gotta get these names straight. Eco Noob did go for T3 Air 12 minutes in. He has got a T3 Air factory with a T3 PGen. Just enough power to run everything. And he is probably, yes, going to be building a strategic bomber with which to hit all of these beautiful T2 mass extractors on the other side where there's no shielding, there's no protection, there's not enough air. Yeah, this is about to get super dicey for the north side. There is a T3 air factory online for Jerry. But I don't think this is going to work as well. He does not have the power adjacency helping him out. He does not have T3 power at all, actually. He is not going to be able to build ASF until that comes up due to the power requirements. So this bomber is going to come out free and clear with a whole lot of room to work. Where is that thing headed? It is going off this way, probably just waiting on a scout. Yep, there goes the T3 scout. So he is scouting to see what he wants to hit first, and then he will head out. So with that strat bomber, he could kill these T2 P-Gens. He could kill a buttload of build power. Also some T2 Mexes, because those do die in one hit. He's got a lot of stuff to choose from, and it does look like his team is coordinating relatively well, pushing their air out to the front to try to screen for this bomber. Bomber's moving out this way. Where are you headed? Waiting for that bomb drop. There it is. He is going to be hitting Jerry's commander. Dead on the money. And then moving in further. So that's basically just going to strip some health away. Try to cause a little havoc. A Medusa drop on this side is actually going to kill that transport that has served Zlo so very, very well this game. Interceptors taking out ASFs on the bad turn. Here comes the bomb. And that is brutal. So much build power was lost that day, but that single ASF is going to be a hero. And he is going to take out that bomber single-handedly. Air control is going to remain with the south side, though. We've got a lot of Tort bombers moving out that are not going to be able to snipe that commander, if that is what was planned. And it looks like these guys are going to depend on the established air that they do have while some combat units are produced. Those Tort bombers are Seraphim, which means they are going to be a little bit more difficult to line up for the kill than some of the other factions. They do have the torpedoes that drop in behind the unit, and then the torpedoes travel. We can actually watch it right here. You know what? That might be one of the things that was changed in one of the balance patches, because it used to be much more pronounced than that. Brink, you need to catch up with your subcom stuff. Torpedoes enter the water and then travel. So they still do travel a little bit, but not very much. Alright, so terrain is not going to interfere with those Tort bombers as much as it used to, apparently. Good freaking deal. Another one of those things that was changed because it existed for basically no reason and was super harmful to the usability of the units. Artillery moving in. This is going to absolutely decimate what build power is left. Zlo is going to lose all his factories to this. He does have a couple of frigates out, which might be able to assist with things. Why the hell are you backing your artillery up? You need to get in there, and you need to kill those factories el pronto, because you do not want your opponent building any more navy whatsoever. Looks like we do still have the original 3 factories and no more, but there are plenty of frigates on that side. What I am seeing, though, is an increase in naval presence from the north. The number of frigates now greatly outnumbers that on the south side. The torpedo bombers will make a little bit of a difference, but not that much. And the hover arty is real coming out of Jerry's base. Although, it would appear he is still getting outmatched in production by farms. I am curious as to whether or not I have missed some T2 artillery drops. I have missed some kind of drop, and there is another strat bomber coming out and going around to the left side. I did see a T2 transport from Zlo at one point, but I think it may have gotten shot down. There's a T2 transport full of artillery. This is about to get interesting. I do love the Zooey drops. They're borderline OP, but you do pay a lot of mass for them. A couple of Renegades out. Something to keep in mind about the Renegades, they are the only gunship besides the Soul Ripper with area of effect. So if you want to use them versus T1 units, they do exceptionally well. ASF down here, probably going to have to make a turn and allow for these ASF to get behind. Oh, that is sketchy. Both of those ASF are going to die, I think, yes, to a combination of interceptors and ASF, allowing this bomber free reign on the north side. It's going to take out a T2 PGen that was half built and a T2 mass extractor. It would have been better to kill that mass extractor, but you know what? The 2-for-1 is a good thing. Looks like that is going to get shot down in relatively short order. ASF on the tail deals a pile of damage. Where are you dropping your bomb at? Just in time. There it is. A kill and a couple of engineers. Worth it. Totally worth it. Drop getting in the back here, but I don't know that that's going to do much good, seeing as there is a radar that's going to catch that, and those Mantis are going to move in. There's the artillery drop right in on the base. 2 completed T2 artillery down, or T2 power generators, I should say. The one that was only partially completed is also gone now. The rest are going to die in an overcharge, and they're going to deal about third damage to that mass extractor. That was a brutal, brutal drop. That is exactly what you want to get out of it. The high priority targets are all dead, and you got in some random damage on some other stuff. He had to pause his T3 factory upgrade because he now has no power. He's down to 1K, which is probably mostly consisting of overflow from his teammates, seeing as he doesn't have any more T2 power generators and very few T1s. That is going to shut him down completely for the time being. Got some T3 scouts there in your base, bro. Why don't you kill those? Get rid of them. Stop the free intel. Not one of those things you want to be allowing your enemy to do. Drop coming in with some engineers. I'm not entirely sure why engineer dropping is worth it, seeing as there is such a substantial amount of artillery here that those will instantly die. But what I am seeing is some hover flak, some hover tanks, and those are going to start making a bit of a dent in the T1 artillery, because the T1 artillery will lose to tanks in the vast majority of cases. Looks like we got another T2 drop coming around the north side. Is that on the radar? No, it is not. So that might be another successful drop. There are a couple, maybe? Nope, it does not appear there's any T2 gunships left. I saw the transport and thought it might be one, but that is not the case. Looks like Enola Gay is going to get the T3 off of his overflow from his team. So he'll be able to build some engineers, get some tech online. Oh, snap. That is not actually going for the base. It's going for the build power. So he is going to kill off all of these naval factories so that no more navy can be built from there. They'll have to deal with the existing frigates, but it is going to eliminate what is left of the north side's build power in the water. There will be none remaining. 3 frigates and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frigates. And 2 more. 13 frigates versus world. This might not end well, especially considering the fact that Farms has now ramped up his eco considerably and is streaming even more units across to the middle. Right now, the Eco King is Jerry. He has got quite a few T3 mass extractors. He has got a well-established economy with many T3 power generators, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if we start seeing something big being built by him. This I am not fond of. We've got an 8,000 health ACU out in the open when air control is not a sure thing. 3 strap bombers is all it would take, and that ACU would be dead. He might be able to dodge it, he might be able to see it coming, but Seraphim bombers are nearly impossible to dodge due to how big the area of effect is, and with the skill level of these players, I am sure that they're capable of ground firing in order to hit the ACU regardless. Zlo teching up. He is pretty high there. He's got the 3rd highest economy. Blast Chilled at the moment has the smallest, but that might actually be due to a vicious power stall. In fact, I think it is. As soon as this PGen comes online, his mass income should jump a little bit. And then on the north side, Enola Gay, definitely not on the high end eco-wise. He's got all T2 mass extractors. I don't think he's got a single T3. He's been hit pretty hard by various people, and he's been trying to sustain unit builds in the early game, which just demolishes your chances at early eco. Here comes another T2 drop that is going to be composed of engineers, probably headed out to reclaim all of this lovely stuff in the middle. And Zlo has seen a hole in his team's defenses, and he is trying to fill it. He is building Navy like a madman. Torpedo defense is going down to try to stave off the T1 frigates that are coming. I don't think that's going to be necessary, though, because they are going to retreat in the face of the Torp bombers. So frigates out, more building. That is going to be a save. Now what might not work out is the denial of all of these hover units that are now on the island. And it would appear that there are more factories going down in the center to try and push even more across. And this is what's bad about this narrow gap in the center. There's not a lot of room for frigates to maneuver. So you can't kite, you can't dodge. The arty will have a better chance of killing frigates than they normally would. And then they can just go to the middle. And they can't even be damaged. Hover tanks moving in. 2 hover tanks versus 2 frigates. Hover tanks will win because these are so low health. And then the artillery is following up. Zlo is about to be in a bad spot. He is going to be able to save his T3 mass extractor with a combination of gunships and T1 bombers from his teammates. That was a good little incursion there, though. Those Yinzines getting into the back, trying to take out some eco. The pressure is tough in the middle. There is another clump of frigates out. T2 hover tanks will not stand a chance, but now the artillery is being pushed by T2 transports as well. This strategy actually worked out very well for the Southside team, where they were able to shut down all of the build power and prevent a naval foothold from coming to be for the north side. There is a cruiser that's going to help out with the air situation. Not that it needs that much help. Looks like about a roughly even number of ASF for each side, but the interceptor count, I think, still favors the south by a pretty wide margin, especially... Nope, I was wrong. Zlo has a huge pile of interceptors. Alright, air is pretty even then. Pretty dang even. ASF gonna run up, try to sway the battle in the south side's favor between all these interceptors, and then engage the ASF. Who's gonna get the bad turn in? It is Jerry. Jerry is gonna lose a lot of ASF over that turn. There's the air win. Now Eco Noob is going to be able to take all of his ASF and hit these interceptors, eliminate what little air control the north side has. Zlo is already pulling his interceptors back to the base in anticipation of that move. The hover has now completely overrun the naval factories. ASF moving in to eliminate the air that is harassing these units and preventing them from moving in further. And that is going to be a hard win for the south side in this navy. Oh, there's a clump of frigates trying to valiantly fight for the channel, but they're just going to be totally overrun by all of this stuff down here. Another group of naval factories going into the water on the north side, but again, Enola has some of the lowest eco out of anybody in this game, and it's just not going to work out very well for him. Blast Chilled has a lower economy. It is official, 58 versus 114. But he contributed his bit, and he has still got some navy down here, so I don't think we can hate on him too much for that. Interceptors turning on the ASF. That was a bad little turn there. Jerry returning the blows on Eco Noob's ASF. He's going to come out here in the water over the cruiser, take advantage of that anti-air. He should have turned back, I think, and finished cleaning up the interceptors. Go get him, go get him. You might lose 1 to 2 ASF, but you will clean up all of the remaining interceptors, and then the air control will be complete. I like the wall sections. You can never have enough walls, even when it's a Navy map. Sonar built, headed out. It looks like that is going to be a destroyer. Yes. So the destroyer is going to move up into the middle and potentially start hammering some of this stuff along the shoreline. Somebody paused it. And Farms is being a sarcastic son of a gun as always. So, what are we looking at here? Not much over there. Zlo getting some upgrade on his ACU, I think. I'm not sure what it is. He's got a lot of T3 mechs. 1, 2, 3, 4. His eco is pretty well established. On the north side, we're starting to see some Not as useful factories being Control K, the mass being recycled into more things. There is a Yathatha. So we're about to start seeing some experimentals. That might be enough to sway the tide down here. And then on this side, Enola finally got up his T3 power generator. His T3 air production is online, it would appear. And we've got naval factories galore, plus a T2 naval factory. And that is going to be a little more useful than it might be in some games, because since the Seraphim destroyers have such good close-range weapons, they will master all of the hover down here. And the Salems don't have a whole lot of room to kite. So advantage to the Seraphim destroyers. Alright, back to the main view. Corsairs harassing these hover tanks, but at the moment there is not a whole lot that is going to be able to help them. That is resource allocation on Zlow's commander. Not sure why he is getting that. On the south side, Eco Noob continuing to scale up his air production and doing quite well at it. I might add Blast Shield trying to get a T3 mass extractor up. We've got nothing special planned over here and nothing over there. Looks like, yes, T3 factory is online, and now we're going to start seeing some T3 tanks, which are, by the way, amphibious and will be able to cross the channel and cause all kinds of havoc on the other side. Excellent thing about Seraphim, they got the hover flak, they got the amphibious tank, they got the hover arty, and they've got a T2 hover tank. So they can literally build a perfectly mixed unit. Oh, and don't forget the hover shields. They can build a perfect unit mix and move it across the map regardless of water or anything else without transports, and it is super fantastic. Alright. The Navy is falling in the center. Those factories that were just rebuilt are now gone once again. The frigate count is still halfway decent on the north side, but the hover just totally makes the difference on that. Complete area of denial for the Navy. They can't move in for fear of getting swarmed. I am impressed with the hold here, because currently nothing has broken through to a significant degree, but here comes another pair of artillery drops. This might end badly for Zlow. Interceptors coming in to try to tag those. Numbers get decimated after the engagement with the ASF. Half health taken off that transport. All of these interceptors are out of fuel, but they can still fire. And I think that transport is doomed. That is bad news right there. Should not have attempted that. And second transport, it's going to be close. It is going to be close. It's down, but it did drop the artillery. Well done there. That T3 Max is toast. No way is it going to survive that. 2 volleys and it is down. Already retargeting on some of the point events. Will be able to kill that one as well. And now the front line starts caving. With these guys, I don't know that I would have gone for Yathatha. Honestly, I would have started building Ilshivas. The Ilshivas are going to deal exceptionally well with the T1 artillery spam. They're going to outrange and outdamage, although they will be slower than the Yenzines. And I do fully realize that they will be useless on this landmass because they can't move to that landmass without assistance from a transport. But at this point in the game, you're looking for a solution to the problem immediately at hand. And after the fact, you can just go drop them all on the other side and then concern yourself with other matters. I'm like 7 T3 mechs ahead. Why am I not winning? This is bullshit. You're not winning because your team is getting overrun by hover spam that you probably should have been helping with. Where's your Phobo spam? Gently made 5 frigs. I thought that hard countered. I made 20 and they're dying to tort bombers. Yeah, this is where the blame game starts. This is what you don't get to see in 1 versus 1 tournaments. You don't get to see the salt. You don't get to see the tilt that ultimately causes the demise of a team. It looks like Zlow is about to get overrun. He is getting pincered hard between all of this hover. Yathatha is moving now, but there's going to be so many small and scattered units. It's going to be very difficult for a single chicken to cover all the bases. And I do mean that quite literally, not figuratively. Another strat bomber coming in, hitting Zlo. One more bomb and Zlo is dead. It looks like the ASF will not be moving to save the beleaguered commander. And there, I think, is a Control K. That is going to be the bow out. This team is done. Eco Noob, I played perfect. Oh my goodness. Well, there goes Zlo. That only leaves, yep, there goes the Control K. That only leaves Enola Gay, and there is a game. That is the first round of the 3v3 tourney. I am going to sign out of this game, reset a couple of things. We will go back to the streaming home screen, and we'll come back when the next round is ready.